This is David Volk for Chin Music, reading an old post about post-pandemic coworkers. Today's post is your post-pandemic coworker reel. Top characteristics of fictional coworkers. Now that you've spent more than a year in Zoom meetings with coworkers who are using fake backgrounds to pretend they're not really where they are or that they're somewhere they're not, it seems like now would be the ideal time to take a really good look at your cubicle mate and or your nearest coworker. And not just glance, but a really good look while you ponder this simple question. Are you sure they're real? Is there any chance they might be a really good-looking hologram or a figment of your imagination? Think about it. How do you know? After all, you can't just ask them, are you for real? Well, I mean, you could, but how would you answer the question if you weren't real? If someone asked you that question, do you really think you'd say, oh no, of course not? Nope, you'd lie like a rug. These, then, are some of the ways you can tell whether or not the person working next to you is really a person. We'll have to discuss how to tell if they're working at another time. 1, they're not real. Oh, sure, your cubicle mate may seem to be made of flesh and blood, but are they really? Can you touch them? Can you see them in a mirror? And more importantly, can your coworkers see them? 2, they get to come and go without consequence. It's the most amazing thing. 1 minute they're in a meeting, the next they've just walked off as if they're free to come and go as they please, or as though they were the protagonist of the story. 3, they always seem to be at the scene of the action. The first thing you know, they get up to go to the bathroom or because they feel ill. Before you realize it, they're no longer there, but somehow magically show up dazed and confused at the scene of a crime, incident, or major cataclysm. 4, they often seem to be looking ahead and talking to someone who isn't there. Sometimes it seems like there's an internal dialogue while they say something and add phrases like, I thought and I said. Whenever they're asked about who they're talking to, they always talk about breaking down the fourth wall, even though your cubicle has only 3, or maybe only 1. 5, they have a funny fictional name. It's inevitably something that no sane person would ever name their kid, like It, or Truman, or Huckleberry, or an equally weirdly spelled, possibly frightening last name, like Getz or Taylor Green, which makes you wonder where they came up with that name in the first place. 6, they often seem to be followed by a voice that's coming from nowhere. In fact, if you didn't know any better, you'd swear they had their own narrator. 7, they often seem conflicted. It's almost like they were in a man versus self, man versus man, or man versus nature type of situation. 8, they have some sort of fatal flaw that they never seem to notice. No matter how obvious it is to you and your coworkers, your fictional coworker not only doesn't do anything about it, they seem to embrace it, and it proves to be their undoing. 9, I think, their workday ends happily ever after, until it doesn't. I'm David Volk, and that's Chin Music.